Welcome to Not Just Ads, the show where B2B brands discover how creator-led content drives pipeline, builds trust, and grows long-term brand equity. Each episode, we speak with business leaders, founders, and creators who are defining their categories. I'm your host, Marcus Sherwin, and this is the creator economy for B2B. Hello, and welcome today to Not Just Ads, the creator economy for B2B. Today, I'm delighted to be joined by Nick Malekos. Nick has a number of years, over 10 years experience in growth marketing space, specializing in SEO and growth marketing strategy. He started up back in LearnWorlds a number of years ago where he joined, and they were at 200 ARR and grew that to over 20 million. He's since moved on from there in a number of director level roles in SEO and in growth marketing. He's currently head of growth and demand generation at Cyberbit. Nick, I'm delighted to be talking with you today. Thank you very much for joining us on the show.
Thank you for having me, Marcus. It's very nice to be here.
Great. Nick, maybe you could walk us back in terms of how did you get into growth marketing? You've been in it quite a while now, but how did you get into this space and what kind of drew you to it?
So I will give first my definition for growth marketing, because I do think growth marketing is not different than marketing. It's just good marketing implemented correctly with a small difference in mindset. So the growth marketing difference is that you are testing things, you see what works and you double down there, and you have to be okay in leaving things and projects behind. That's all. So I don't think I'm not doing marketing or a different perspective. It's just a different mindset. And this is because I was working at a startup as the first marketing hire. So we had to discover the channel market fit.
Yeah. And what were the challenges in terms of that? Like when you're looking at, it's obviously lots of experimentation and stuff, but some of the early learnings that you took from there into future roles.
So one of the things is that LearnWorlds was the incumbent. So while it was same age with most of the competitors, and it has stayed more or less a top 5 from then to now, but how it stayed, it's a different way of trying to gain with lower budget to hit big budget competitors. So you have to continuously find the ways for ROI impact. And what I got is this, like how to understand that a business has to survive and revenue is the main focus. Right now I'm worried on attributing marketing and revenue, but for most of my career, revenue was my main goal. And this is what I pursue in all my roles. Even if I go a little bit lower, SQLs instead of direct revenue, I care that marketing will bring revenue as attributable as possible, but I care less about attribution right now.
Yeah, I think that's a really good learning because you're really aligned with what the business is then as well. If you're just focusing on SQL or MQLs, as you can see, I think some companies that purely focus on MQLs, and it can be a disconnect with how that actually works into the overall business then as well.
If I talk about MQLs and not SQLs at least, or meetings booked, sales would get me.
Yeah. And how, tell us a little bit more about LearnWorlds as well, because it's in a platform for education courses from what I understand, but maybe you could just tell me in terms of, because that's a huge level of growth from the period of time that you were there, but as a product, how that evolved over that time as well in terms of the customer base and the markets that they were in and so on.
So LearnWorks found the problem between the LMS. So it bridged the gap between the very low level of, let's say, Udemy, Coursera, and the very high LMS like Docebo and Moodle. So LearnWorks is at the middle. It serves people who are smaller, they want more flexibility. And so it was serving an unserved part that wanted to monetize, wanted something better than Udemy and own their audience, but did not have the budget to go into huge LMS. So that was the market. But there is Teachable, Kajabi, Thinkific, everyone in between. So the point is how you can penetrate those. On LearnWorks, the challenge was how to find and grow this site by first getting clients from competitors and then growing your own audience and through awareness and slow growth. So LearnWorks was slightly out of timing. Like we say, it's a huge growth, but the competitors had a bigger growth just because they started being more aggressive faster. And LearnWorks were not very aggressive. And one of the stories I like to share is because people think like one person does everything. Like I would love to say that I pushed the company so big, so quickly, or the CEO pushed it by themselves. It's a teamwork. Everyone attributed a little bit. And one of the secrets is that while I do think I did good work that year, the real secret is that the CEO was pursuing some influencers for 3 years before me. And one influencer added us in a listicle that it was top in the industry. And then Forbes mentioned us, which was probably a paid article by competitor to mention LearnWorlds on the 7th place. Those was 50% of growth for LearnWorlds. I could attribute it to that to those two actions.
Wow. Right. So the play there would be the creators that you mentioned. What year roughly would this been around? How many years ago would this have been?
2017.
Okay, so it was kind of like pre B2B creator boom. No, this was like a number of years beforehand, and it was essentially the was that something then that continued in the play of working with creators and influencers like that?
That worked for a couple of years. Those two were the targets for 2 years. Then we had to build a lot of, we saw the value of affiliate. But when I went out, the first growth play that worked is that the company did not pay on ads. It took me more than a month to convince to get a small budget. You can now 400 euros in budget on Facebook. That really did great results. Like it brought a lot of leads. Well, you cannot do that right now. I'm talking with performance friends. I'm trying right now. 400 euros of 2017 on Facebook right now is 3 to 5K.
Yeah.
The equivalent amount to do the same kind of work to start on. So that play channel, growth marketing, is not a growth play anymore. It can be, but not for everyone. Then it was SEO. It was much easier to do SEO back then. But we did try paid SEO, content, newsletter, affiliates, showing up on articles that were ranking on Google, and everything in time, and see what was working, and we focus on what was working.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing you mentioned about Forbes as well. People would say, like, you know, print media, it doesn't have the same like print. And there, obviously, it was a magazine, Forbes. Obviously, they have a massive website and everything like that as well. But from what you see, and you're saying that you could attribute a lot of the success to that mention in Forbes magazine. Do you see that was a continuing kind of thing where you would do like any kind of paid articles or anything like that in Forbes? Or was it just that particular mention was like something that really kind of you saw a massive spike correlation with growth based on that?
I never managed to convince them to give me money for that.
Right.
One of the problems of growth marketing and in general marketing. So you have to understand when to use budget, when to use experiments, and for how long to do experiments. So I will give you, and I was talking with a friend on e-commerce recently, and she was mentioning that a lot of people want to do CRO, experimentation, and they barely have like 5-10 sales in their e-commerce site every month. It doesn't work. For an A/B test, like let's say the color of the button. You cannot do an A/B test if you don't have minimum 5 to 10,000 traffic per test.
Yeah.
And that's a minimum, and this will not give you significant results. You need millions of visitors to do these A/B tests, to do CRO. Same with a magazine or any other sponsorship. A lot of times you think that, let's pay this influencer to do a one YouTube video once, 500 euros. No, this doesn't work. I can assure you I did it a lot of times. Paying one off an influencer, it doesn't work. Why it doesn't work? Because you pay once, they don't know you, and then your money just brings no clicks and you stop doing it and you don't see significant impact. What you should do when you are experimenting with creators is spending a specified amount of money based on how much you have for an amount of time. Like, let's say, I want this creator for 3 or 6 months. And you will see that if you track not clicks, but referrals, where did you hear us? And you want them on the drop down, you will start in a few months to see that, I heard you from Marcus. But you need to do it consistently because you want to create this sense of awareness to the audience. You want to connect with their audience. Once off is no connection. Once off is wasting your money, burning your money. If you do it consistently, you create a connection. The other way you can do is that I want to dominate this place for a month. Instead of having 10K in 6 months, I spend 10K for 2-3 mentions per creator in this industry, in the same audience, but I choose 5 creators in the specific month. So it's the same thing. Like I follow YouTube channels, and for 3 months, I see them promoting the same exact product. For 3 months, all the people I see on YouTube. This creates an awareness. I cannot escape it. I learn about the product. So growth experiments is like that. You have to understand how big they have, what budget do you have, and when they are going to fail. Because you can fail an experiment because you didn't plan it well.
Yeah. No, it's a great point what you make as well. And I think there's research around that with the Australian Institute, Aaron or Bass. They talk about, they put like a term on it of mental availability of like, actually it needs, and that needs to compound over time, that when then you come in market, you remember this particular brand or service. I think the challenge that a lot of people have is trying to convince internally that you're actually building that availability. And from your experience, like how do you manage that internally to kind of say they're pushing you for leads, they're pushing for results, but you're kind of saying, look, this is more of a longer play. It's going to come good, but it's more of a longer play. Do you have any ways of like kind of how you approach that when internally there's pressure to kind of prove short-term results?
First of all, you need to send me a survey. I have to use it because it will be good.
Yeah, I'll send you the link. Yeah, they have a ton of really interesting research. Actually, I'll share it with you.
So it's difficult because right now you see the problem with marketing. Just raising the problem here is that we have a lot of we have to defend our work. So marketing has to defend their work so much that there's some marketers that say that I spend 90% of my time, marketing leaders here, to defend my work instead of doing work, which is wasteful. I prefer right now. I feel even in Cyberbit, which we do a lot of good work, I spend a big amount of time to build the reports and build the systems to prove that I will be I'm successful and I'm producing results. If I don't do it, I will not get the budget next year. But
Yeah,
my feeling, both on LearnWorlds, on Cyberbit, and many other works that I did as a consultant and freelancer, is that I could be doing more work that I know works without caring about so much attribution, and I will be doing more work and have bigger impact.
yeah.
Yes, you need to report, but over reporting, it's a problem wasting resources.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think as well, it's really have to let things compound over time. Like marketing can be very effective, but sometimes it's the argument of actually not touching it for a while, not trying to over optimize something and actually go, no, it actually takes time. It's like what Mark Ritson says, it's about like you're taking out your buns out of the oven too early and they're not cooked. Basically, he's using this analogy of like whereas if you leave them in for a while, and the research shows that, I know it depends on the company size and the segment of the audience and stuff, but generally speaking, the research shows that the longer that it is in market, it's the more memorability that it'll have.
Exactly. So some companies that really need revenue right now, especially startups, have to do short-term actions just to
Yeah,
survive, prove revenue. But if you do growth cuts and shortcuts for a long time, it ends up being a shortcut. It becomes an expensive play that you have to repeat because you never build mind availability and awareness.
yeah.
So yeah, you have to do it, but you have
Yeah.
to also build a brand because the brand is what will keep you in the future.
Yeah. And so maybe you could just take us to kind of more recently, because you moved on from LearnWorks a few years ago, and then you went and started your own project and doing some consultancy work. And then more recently now, you're in-house you lead growth and demand generation at Cyberbit. But maybe you could just tell us about that transition from doing kind of the fractional work and agency work, from kind of like working for yourself versus now working heading up demand gen. Because I think a lot of people see the attraction of like working for yourself as very glamorous. You know, there's a lot of things like, but also then the reality can be different in some cases. But yeah, I'd just be interested to hear from your point of view.
Yeah, I sit very on risk appetite and how much
Yeah,
money you make. Like you
yeah,
can make a lot more money as a consultant or as a freelancer, but you have to have the risk appetite. You can avoid the bad boss if you go freelance, but you are the bad boss of yourself.
yeah,
And there is some mental exhaustion there. Like a lot of people who I know have agencies are very, very tired right now, but they make much more money than they will if they were internal. It can
yeah,
unlock. Well, the reason I did is because I decided to see. I was working with creators for so long. I had to understand my audience. To understand my
yeah,
audience, I decided to launch a newsletter and my LinkedIn profile and work on it because for my audience, LinkedIn made more sense than YouTube or something else. But I saw after a couple of years of working, because I needed to work for 2 years to understand it. The first year I did a lot of mistakes. The second year I did better things. And I started getting a lot of inbound requests for consultancy, but I didn't have the capacity to do. I was introducing them to some friends agency, and one of them asked me, "Okay, you brought me half my clients. Join here." Something like, and we grew it well. But the problem was another problem you have to see. The partner wasn't suitable We had similar goals, but not the same. We're in different
Yeah.
ways of life. We had different management styles. And one main issue, we did not separate correctly our activities. So because we're doing similar things, we were getting into each other's feet.
Yeah.
When you go out as a freelancer or a consultant, if you go solo, it's easier. You don't have anyone else. You can go faster. You can make money. You can do fractional. I want to talk about fractional, but in a bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's faster, but it's not you don't have someone to push you. You need to be self-pusher. It's a different mentality. If you are on a company and you are working yourself and you have someone ordering you and you like that, it will not work as a freelancer because you are the boss. You have to put limits when you are working, when you are not, when you are selling. On an agency, you have to hire people, grow it. And you have the problem that you have to have backup because for 2-3 months, maybe you go down or you lose clients you didn't expect it, and then you have to look for them. It takes 3 to 6 months. And you have to pay your employees or you have to fire your employees. It's a lot of stress to have to pay people, fire people, hire people. So this stress, you have to be able to handle it. It's a different kind of people who can do it. For me, I never wanted to work as an agency. I just saw the money. So if
Yeah.
people are asking you, I will give you money. Just come for this. And I say, 5 people, I can make double my salary with these 5 people that I was doing. But then you don't think taxes, hiring, tools, blah, blah, and then the management of that. And then you have to find the next 3 one. It goes on. There are good and bad things, but you have to be prepared. It's a journey. And you hear most businesses don't make profit for 2-3 years. We were making profit. We are not taking it. We're investing to grow. But there are some people who are not making any profit or who have 1-2 clients that are getting half their salary. My advice for people who want to leave their corporate jobs, and there are a lot in the market right now, is that one, there is a lot of availability of freelancers because of layoffs. A lot of people burn out and they went freelance. So you have more competition. But because people laid off, companies laid off people, a lot of companies are looking for freelancers to hire, but you cannot expect the same prices. If you can take the risk, take it, but it's a risk. Remember that when you take risks, you have to be able to absorb them. And for people who have families, maybe you cannot. So work on the side, see if you can do some extra money with your extra hours in the evening. And if you can, move it into a business when it's getting close to your salary or at least livable expenses. Then if you don't want to ask something, I can go to fractional.
No, I think it's really interesting. I'd love to hear in terms of from what you mentioned, because there's always the costs that people don't take into consideration of like kind of the hiring costs, tech stacks, taxes, everything like that. But from your perspective of like kind of being that kind of solopreneur to kind of hiring the agency, what do you think are the kind of the learnings to go from that? Because I guess you're giving up some kind of you're giving up the earning power in the short term because you need to invest for growth and so on. But any kind of, if you were to rewind and do it again, what would be like kind of some things that you would approach it differently and that people should be aware of in your opinion?
Yeah. One of the mistakes we're doing is that we're trying to get clients and we're giving any kind of service we can.
So giving like a very broad service, is that what you mean?
Yes. I was an expert on SEO. My partner was on PPC. We even accepted to take a couple of website-based jobs. And the website is more complex than you think right now. So you cannot offer everything. You have to be able to say no. And you have to have a clear specialization. Maybe it's 2-3 lines, but it has to be as clear as possible. If I cannot explain it, then I have to say, and to performance and SEO and CRO, it's not good.
Yeah.
Take to the maximum you can one service. It could be the profile optimizations that a friend is doing and he's making a lot of money. It could be outreach. It could be lead generation. It could be paid media. You can have some side things. And for anything else you do, have some trusted partners, send them clients. If you're a good partner, good friend, they will send you back. Not always.
Yeah.
You send 3 clients out, one of the agencies will send you one back until you have a good relationship with them.
Yeah.
So specialization, partnerships. You have one interesting thing. I was counting my hours, both me and my people charge more than you think, because essentially I will be surprised if you have more than 20 deliverables hours per week. If you are working a 40-hour week. So if a founder works 60 to 8 hours, then they are working for 30-40 hours on deliverables. The rest, they're promoting themselves, finding clients, doing sales calls, anything that will not bring income in.
Yeah. No, it's an interesting point that you make as well. And I think one of the things that people probably overlook is around pricing, because it's something that's really probably one of the key things, because deliverables, yes, you can optimize on those things and stuff like that. But if your pricing is wrong, that's just basically the foundation is very difficult to get that correct then if it's a rocky price.
Yeah. I will think 1/3 is your taxes and other
Yeah.
expenses. 1/3 is your cost of finding clients. So the half time you cannot work on the business. And the other
Yeah.
1/3 is the billable hours. So
Yeah.
those billable hours have to be times 3 of what you expect to earn. And if you
Yeah.
have employees, we are aiming for 40 to 60% profitability. And we
Yeah.
had above 40%, and it was still barely able to keep up when we're hiring. Employees don't expect it, but if they have to make up an ROI of 2 to 4 times minimum
Yeah.
to be profitable for the business, whereas it's better to fire them, unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's very valuable information that you're sharing here. I think for anyone in that space, the services space or the agency space as well. But yeah, maybe you could share a little bit now in terms of the fractional work as well, in terms of how what led you into that then, and how you find that.
So I had some people who are thinking to hire me, but they don't have the budget. Smaller startups is my specialty. So I'm very good at between the 1 to 20 million revenue startups,
Yeah.
1 to 2 more. So, but usually they cannot afford a very senior person. So fractional makes sense, at least to get to meet you, decide if they want you full time, or help you find someone full time. So this
Yeah.
is for me the role of a fractional. It's either a test that you work for 2, 3 companies, you cannot work for more. It's very difficult to be a
Yeah.
fractional for more than 3 companies. Even 3 is difficult. And you have to, let me structure myself. As a fractional, you have to be able to either lead someone into the level that they can hire a full-time person, or they decide to hire you, but you are a transitional one. I will never see a fractional position as a full-time, because if I'm fractional growth or fractional head of marketing, my goal is to grow the company. So I was working for a company that was close to 1 million ARR. And if I could take it to 2 or 3 million, that means they have the money to hire 2, 3
Sure.
people internally.
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense to have a fractional. A mistake I did is that some of the people I was working on, they didn't have an internal team. So as a fractional strategist level, you cannot also do the deliverables. It's exhausting. So
Yeah.
you have to have either the team to do the deliverables. So you offer essentially you're a fractional with an agency of yourself, or
Yeah.
have an agency you collaborate, or they
Yeah.
have someone internally. So
Sure.
for the one company I was working without someone internally, or half a person internally, half doing something else because they are too small, they could not handle the work. So I had to do the work. And then becomes from strategy, you're delivering deliverables. So you're a freelancer and a fractional. So
Yeah.
if you want to be a fractional, the rules are they have to have a team of between 1 and 3 people that are juniors. They need strategy. You are there temporarily. You are helping them grow from this step to the next, where they hire someone internally. Whether it's you when they can afford you, or when it's someone else, it doesn't matter. You are there to support that journey. And I was clear with one of our clients that we're doing a template, who to hire, when to hire, the checkpoints you have to pass, the milestones,
Yeah.
everything.
And how do you find then the fractional piece in terms of like the logistics of like, would you be like, do you do it on project based in terms of like you're giving them the strategy and then it's kind of deliverable on that, and then it's an extra contract then if you kind of have to implement it and so on? Or is it more like kind of, I work a half a day on the company, or what way would you normally structure it?
There were a few different deals. One company was working fractional growth marketer, the other fractional head of marketing. So on one company, the deal was a few hours per week, and it could be spread between week. It was on me. We're discussing it when they needed it and based on deadlines. The other company, they wanted me one day in the office, and it would make sense because it was
Yeah.
more strategy. We make a plan for 3 months, and we say this is renewable. Let's do 3
Yeah.
months, see how it works. Let's do the next 3 months. So I will go with a contract. It's between 3 and 12 months, depending where you are. If you're starting on, you can do
Yeah.
shorter contracts, but as you grow, you want to have a longer 6 to 12 months
Sure.
contract.
Yeah.
So we structure the needs, what you will need every month, because the deliverables, whether you manage their team or you are
Yeah.
writing strategy. one day in office, half a day extra working, or specified hours, like 5 hours per week.
Sure.
Your
Yeah.
spot is dedicated.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's like what you mentioned initially around that there are a huge amount of people now, I think, that are looking from kind of the corporate world and also from even other sectors that like kind of see the fractional part as like kind of being quite attractive. But listening to you from firsthand experience, you can always kind of tell like what the reality is, and there's pros and cons to everything. I think
Yes.
it's always interesting to hear. But yeah, I'd love to hear a little bit about where you are now in Cyberbit and Cyberbit as a company, but like what your plans are there, what your role in terms of heading up growth and demand generation, and yeah, maybe you could share more about that.
So I joined the company with a new CMO who is rebuilding the team. The idea is to come here. They had half a team before they fired most of the people in the past, have a smaller team. Like they have 2 or 3 people internally, and they wanted to have a more professional team rebuilding from the beginning. That was a plan. So I came here with a plan first to do a lot of growth experiments. So I had a 100-day plan that failed pretty early in the first month. So Cyberbit is very interesting. I think I'm going to bit around. Let me start from the beginning my thoughts.
Sure.
So Cyberbit is doing cybersecurity readiness. So what that means is that it's a little bit more advanced than training. It does live fire exercises. It gets you into the reality of someone is attacking your company now. It's not a screenshot. It's not see the logs, find out who attacked. This is happening right now. It gets a team there, a cybersecurity team, a SOC team, going to defend from a live attacker. And it's very interesting because very few people have experience in being attacked at the same time, and especially juniors, and especially a new team that you want to be ready together or experience an attack. Let's say you're in a bank and the bank was attacked last year by the same group. You now know the tactics of that group because they will do a lot of the similar tactics. So if you know to defend this kind of attack, you are ready. And believe me, every few hours you save out of this training, it's millions, because you might not feel that training can get you into a profitable or an ROI positive, considering the risk of losing 50 million in an attack. Just saving 20 million, it's a win.
Yeah.
So this is
Definitely.
it's very difficult to.
How does it work then? Is it like an education platform in terms of for a CTO, or like who's the buyer persona for Cyberbit?
It's a hybrid SaaS training with educators, because there is a software component that is very hard. You do a cyber range. A cyber range replicates an environment of your network, like your computer connected to a server with this software, with this protection software. And there are there are 5 PCs and there are 10 Macs, and maybe your security team has Linux, and you need to attack, you need to defend and see what's going on. So they get into this environment. There is a trainer watching them and giving them feedback. So the manager explaining what's going on, what you did, where there was mistake. Like a very good example we had is there was a super person in a team. He completed the attack in 10 minutes. He solved everything, every exercise, but he never communicated with anyone. The team finished the exercise in half an hour. He finished in 10.
Wow.
So the problem is communication. We had to give feedback to the manager. This is your star person, but he didn't communicate with the team. The team was disconnected. So this is incredible to know. You wouldn't know it if you didn't have the trainer watching.
Yeah. And that's a really interesting point as well. If it's in a remote capacity as well, I guess there's not really actively sharing among the team. And in a situation like that, having somebody that has that kind of a competitive edge with the rest of the team, if they're communicating more, they can definitely share that knowledge.
Yeah. And engineers, this is the thing. For marketing, engineers, especially cybersecurity, hate marketers because they care about privacy.
Yeah.
Really hate. Believe me, I was on the Reddit. The other part is that engineers are also, usually this kind of engineers are the least sociable. The more sociable of them are the least skilled. Not all, not everyone.
No, I know what you mean though, but it's like, it's a stereotype, but there is a lot of truth to the stereotype as well.
So they don't like to communicate even between themselves.
Yeah.
So you have to teach them, you have to make them a team, they have to trust each other. If they don't trust myself as a marketer, and they don't trust a couple of people on their team, the juniors, let's say, or their manager. So, and one thing that I was discussing recently, you ask our persona. A lot of people are looking for the CTO or the CISO. The CISO is the chief of security. But reality, let's go B2B. It's
Yeah.
not always easy to reach these C levels. And these C levels might be the decision makers, but they are not always the ones who will bring the software or the solution to market. If they a CISO will ask the manager will ask the team. The team say, I tried this, I like it, let's buy it. It's easier because you want to satisfy your team, you make them happy. A CISO will see peer groups, but also will see their direct. So it's a T shape. It's
Yeah.
T, the peers, down is the employees and the team. You want to hit them on both sides and have our awareness in order to sell these platforms. And it's a slow process, a committee.
Yeah.
And another thing that I see as a trend, I think you saw it, Marcus. Decision to buy a software or a service, it was between the individual contributor to the manager before. It went a little bit to the C-suite for a while.
Yeah.
It moved quickly to the CEO. And right now
Yeah.
that we are in a budget crisis right now. And now funded startups and VC-owned companies, they move to the board. I see a lot of companies just coming, and the friend told me we lost the job because they came and they brought a full GTM agency to a company, and they came from the VC. Like the VC said, we don't like your results. It's not what you promised. This is a GTM team we worked before. Take them, pay them a like triple amount than you can pay someone else that you like. We trust them, use them.
Yeah. So you think from what you see is like the GTM engineer, that's somebody that's kind of, because it's VC backed, VC priority, they have a say, they're kind of being implemented into the team, even though they may be paid higher, but this is kind of the substitute, so to say, to like kind of the traditional org. No?
GTM is good, and I think it's something that is working. While working with some GTM engineer on side projects to learn, but it's something very important right now because that's how we implement AI and market is another big topic right now. I do think that it's being requested by the boards, but there are not many real use cases. It's more work, more budget, than it's worth it to implement them. So you lose more time to learn and use the systems than the ROI. So this is where GTM is right now, but it's a very valuable work if you have the time, the project, and the use case to use it. But I have seen on LearnWorlds when I had an SEO agency, very good, but it came from the VCs. I told them I could hire, I liked the agency, it was very good. But I could hire an agency closer to home that will cost 1/3 of the amount of money for the same work.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I know. Yeah. What do you think though? Just to go back to your point there about when you were saying about the VC kind of saying take the GTM team, include them into the company. Do you think now then, if you're looking at like kind of your go to market for where you are at the moment, does that take into consideration now like that actually before we're going after maybe let's say it's someone in the engineering team, whether it's below the CTO or let's say it's a director or whatever it would be, like one layer below the CTO. Do you think now for targeting, it's actually okay because some of these companies are including that GTM profile in the org, that's actually going to become a part of the ICP of the people that you're targeting in terms of your messaging and the positioning and so on as well?
It's possible because one of the problems on cybersecurity is shadow IT and shadow AI.
Yeah.
Shadow means that you have so many policies that you don't let me use some tools I want to use, and I copy to your bag and using them.
Yeah.
So they will prefer more control, and this maybe will bring a GTM engineer, but GTM engineers should be, for my opinion, on marketing. It depends on the company. A software company that has a strong product component and good collaboration, yes, it might be sitting between the department or not. I have friends, GTM engineers, who are very strong and are marketers with good technical knowledge. And there are some GTM engineers that are fully technical, they're implementers, but these are for heavy use cases for bigger companies.
Sure. Yeah.
It depends if you are tech first or you are a more soft kind of company and you don't have too much tech.
Yeah. It's a really interesting space because I think some of the companies, obviously Clay and some of these like GTM products have definitely in the last probably 18 months or so, you're seeing some GTM even agencies in place as well that are growing quite a lot. I'd just be interested to see from what you see though, do you see it being actually impactful in terms of what they can deliver? Or do you think that it's kind of like some of the AI plays where it's, yes, it's important. Yes, there's a value there, but it's yet to be kind of seeing actual tangible use cases that drive the business?
It's similar. You have to have a good use case and you
Yeah.
have to do one use case. It cannot be board coming and say, use GTM, do it. If the manager doesn't think that GTM will work, he will not support it, it will just
Yeah.
fail. So we play in the weird place of politics,
Yeah.
getting the board and the C-level happy, but
Yeah.
and keeping our jobs, or implementing something that will actually have an impact based on the revenue that we have to spend, the budget we have to spend. So last year, if you have seen, there were some scary stories about companies spending 50K for a clay agency that ended up having a negative ROI.
Yeah.
Because you cannot say, I'm bringing this expensive agency, set up clay for me. You
Yeah.
have to have a use case. I have friends in a good company Restart, a good agency. They're doing GTM plays with outbound and LinkedIn and intent signal targeting. They
Yeah.
are doing a great job, and I do think there are value for money and there is ROI positive. But there is a real use case on top of outreach. If you have this case, it's good. It's not for everyone, and it's not for it's good for teams that can improve revenue. And it's not an enterprise under 9 months of contracts, or
Yeah.
else you lose the attribution.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's not for everyone. A clay is expensive. The agency working is expensive. And I was planning to use it as well, but in the end we didn't because we are still working on CRM and MarTech stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's an interesting one. I think they've kind of they've essentially created the category, haven't they, really, Clay, since they've come around. And I think if you look at some companies that have been really successful in the space, they seem to create a category. And then as a result of it, they've kind of the category leaders, and they're only around maybe 5 years, is it? Maybe a bit more than 5 years, but they've been really successful of that play, that where they are in GTM and the particular type of companies that they focus on as well.
Yeah, you can do incredible things. I was talking with a friend on how to identify companies that you cannot identify who are your competitors with Clay. Like, let's say you scrap the certificates of LinkedIn through Clay, and you find like competitors who are issuing certificates in the space. But those are B2C plays. It's not very B2B.
Yeah.
You can do incredible things you don't know if you are an expert.
Yeah.
But you have to have the use case and
Exactly.
Not just say, I want to Clay because I like AI tools.
Yeah. No, you're right. It has to make some business sense in terms of what you're going to solve for. But for your go-to-market then, in terms of channels and so on, what do you find over the last number of years of like what's been most effective for you? I know there's obviously a large element of experimentation, and I think that's in every marketer's experience in terms of what you're testing and stuff. Is there anything that you're seeing at the moment that's being effective that you hadn't seen before and that you're quite surprised by?
Surprised, no, but one of my most effective plays in LearnWorlds was a company newsletter.
Okay.
Because if you own the data, on B2B you have the problem that people are moving companies. But if you are making a mailing list, and the problem with B2B companies, they collect emails of businesses and they say, these are my important contacts, and they forget the Gmail, the Yahoo, and everything. You shouldn't have these emails on the demo form, but you have resources to download. And if you have, let's say, a CTO, they download a survey from their personal email. You call them forever. They move 5 companies. They get your emails, your newsletter, and your new content, new releases. The best ROI channel is having email active monthly, creating top of mind awareness. The second thing I see is that events are powerful, but are badly managed. So you're on the sales side, you know that you like to have budget for events, how important they are, but you have to count which events matter. And some events are too expensive, too generic, and some events are niche and on target. You have to manage your budget of events, how much you want to create awareness or you want sales. And you usually need both, but if you have limited budget, I have seen the events of Cyberbit for the past few years. I have seen some incredible leads coming in, not imagine, but they come here, and I activated a lot of leads with email marketing. They came from events 3 years ago. They got activated by email, and they are now in the sales process. And the leads from events that got never a communication. It was like salespeople said, I don't like this lead. I leave it behind. But also I saw that some events are much better than others, which means you have to focus on what events have an impact and what is the impact you expect. So I believe in all channels if done correctly. The
Yeah.
other thing I see strong, but there are traps there, a lot of traps. For me, LinkedIn has given me clients. It has given me, this opportunity was an intro by a friend, but LinkedIn has also got me job offers, customers, connections, a lot of things. ABM and B2B companies, B2B who are doing ABM, LinkedIn is a strong way to go, but it's not for everyone because you need
Yeah.
a founder story is the best. A lot of companies are afraid to invest in their employees because they are worried they will leave and they will be
Yeah.
stronger but it's the same lesson. Do you teach your employee to be better and give you more value with the risk of leaving? Or do you risk having an employee which is less effective because you didn't train them and
Yeah.
stays in the
Yeah.
company and be a burden? So LinkedIn for B2B is incredibly important. It's better if you have the founder in the company, if you have SMEs, and if your SMEs are strong in public communication. In Cyberbit, we're lucky because we have incredible experts. I'm talking with them. Value they give us for social media is incredible. Not all companies can say the same.
Yeah. How do you look at it now with LinkedIn in terms of the thought leadership piece? Like you mentioned around the founders having a voice and then also employees as well. But have you looked at then as like kind of the thought leader ads as a go-to-market play in terms of like kind of bringing in leads, or well, not bringing in leads because
Yeah.
it's more of an upper funnel kind of play, but as a kind of an awareness play, but then leading into to more lower funnel actions. Is it something that you've tested or?
I tested it. Didn't it brought some results, not great results. So I liked it, but it was not as good to convince the CFO.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
believe we needed more time to do them and some more work.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thought leader ads are pretty strong. I see some friends that are swearing about them. I talked with a couple recently when I went to Greece, and they believe thought leader ads are some of the best formats. But
Yeah.
still, doesn't work for everyone. You need to have a
Yeah.
good leader who can speak on video.
Definitely. I think that's one of the big takeaways as well, is like that you have to see how it's going to be relevant to what you're trying to do. And it also, I think, with thought leader ads, from what I've seen, is that it has to lead into something else. It can't be just a standalone thing. There has to be part of some process that you're trying to achieve overall. Like what you mentioned initially, just trying something as a one-off is not really going to be sufficient. It's really how does it play into the narrative over a period of time.
And the LinkedIn is a bit expensive for these tests if you are not confident.
That's true. You need to see that it's going to drive results in the longer term, but also that it's something that it's consistent as well, that you can justify the investment for sure. How do you see with events then? The events that you mentioned, do you do any kind of hybrid promotion around those that you found effective, or is it more really just promoting your presence at particular events, or is it more kind of like very niche and having meetings for sales teams there? Or what do you find is most effective from a marketing play to kind of help with sales in terms of events?
So it depends what you are allowed to do. When I get the email list, I love to have some email communication after. We see activation of leads after. It's good to do some pre-work, so supporting your sales team, give them marketing material to share with their leads before going to event. But it depends if they have a list and they know that their leads are going there and
Yeah.
asking will be there or not. So here in Cyberbit, we didn't have too many events since I came. We have 5, 6, I think. So I was helping a little bit on the last few, but not as much to give you an overview of a long
Yeah.
time. I was not doing many before. The ideal thing is that you advertise on the day of event around you can target the area. You have sales pre-scheduling meetings, but in my case, sales are doing it without asking. Like they don't
Yeah.
need us; they just do it. So
Yeah.
you usually don't need marketing there.
Yeah.
Marketing is usually involved in the presence on the event, the gifts they're doing, the plays they're
Sure.
doing, how to connect collect the leads. So it really depends on the event. It's a lot of things. Like event marketing is a huge discipline, and I can see
Yeah.
it especially with a checklist.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. It's a whole other ballpark in terms of event marketing as well. But you're right, and I think probably in the last year, especially now, even after the summer, I'm seeing that events are back with a boom in terms of much more so even than pre-COVID. Like there's so many in-person events. I think with the use of AI, that people are really getting the value from the kind of face-to-face interaction and like really good targeted events as well. Are you seeing the same with like kind of events, in-person events?
Yeah, and with the people that I'm talking about, we all agree that smaller events, niche targeted, are the
Yeah.
best.
Yeah.
The marketer, I don't want so much to go into marketing events. I want to go
Yeah.
into security events.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the other thing is that you go for big ones, small
Yeah.
ones, or dinners. I
Yeah.
see dinners is the best way to move forward,
Yeah.
but they are difficult to nail.
Yeah.
Small events are very nice. Like
Yeah.
it's the sweet spot. If you cannot do many things, go to small events. Big
Yeah.
events are good for big budget awareness,
Yeah.
but they will not bring you many leads. Or they will bring you, but the ROI will be much smaller.
Yeah. Yeah. I've seen it before recently as well with like dinners. The thing is that getting people that are of a level that are similar, but that are maybe not direct competitors. So they're going to be more open about the challenges that they share, but then having something that's relevant for them all to attend the dinner, and then obviously getting everyone's agenda to line up because it's everyone is busy and so on as well. But I agree with you. I think the thing about a dinner setting can be really useful once you get the right people together. It's really really powerful.
You have to nail the incentive, why
Yeah.
they should
Yeah.
join.
Yeah.
And I will also bring a couple of 2-3 clients and then 10
Yeah.
prospects together.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And there's a huge value in that. I think that people sometimes overlook in terms of like from an ABM play of how you can help empower a champion within an organization if you have introduced them or get them a meeting or with somebody that's either they're interested in or that has a similar challenge to them, but may not be or may be in the same sector. I found that works really well for having a really good relationship, but also just being useful to them, really.
Yeah, but they come back.
Yeah, definitely. Nick, I learned a lot. It was absolutely pleasure to speak with you. You've had a really good career, exciting career, both in the fractional space, agency space, heading up growth. It's a really exciting number of different chapters in your career. And it was a pleasure talking with you today. If anyone wants to find your content, where do you normally hang out? You mentioned your newsletter for the company, but also I think, do you have a personal newsletter as well?
Yeah. You can find me on LinkedIn. It's the best
Okay,
way to find me.
perfect.
And for
Perfect.
B2B marketing, I put this Substack. It's on my personal website. The
Great.
website is badly designed, Marketing Experts Hub, because a lot of SEO tests. But you can find there a subdomain with my newsletter, which is focused on B2B.
We'll put the details on the show notes as well. Thanks again for joining us, Nick. It was great speaking with you.
You're welcome, Marcus.